Dr. Sloan Ettinger bridges the worlds of psychology and spirit, a therapist, intuitive guide, and healer who helps others move through trauma, awaken truth, and align their soul's purpose. Her work is where science meets the sacred. This is The Significance, and this is Dr. Sloan Ettinger. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. The Significance with Tyler and Signy starts now. When Sloan Ettinger was just 11, she and her family visited her great-uncle Henry in New York City, a charming, flamboyant Pfizer pharmacist who could have stepped directly out of the series Mad Men. On the car ride home, her mother asked her, "Why have you had such a face on all night?" Sloan quietly replied, "Uncle Henry is very sick." Her mother dismissed it. Her sister told her to be quiet, or actually to shut up. Later that night, as her mother tucked her into bed, Sloan gently said, "I don't want you to be sad, Mommy, but Uncle Henry is going to die." The phone rang at 6 a.m. the following morning. He had passed away in his sleep from a heart attack. That moment was the first of many that revealed Sloan's intuitive gift, a knowing that she couldn't explain, but couldn't ignore. Today, Dr. Sloan Ettinger blends her work as a spirit guide with her training as a therapist, helping people heal trauma, reconnect with their truth, and align with their soul's purpose. Dr. Ettinger, welcome to The Significance. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to see you both.
We're so excited to have this conversation with you. So you trained in both psychology and naturopathic medicine. What originally drew you to this path of integrative healing?
Because I thought the rest of it was garbage. I read and read and read before, because I'm obsessive compulsive. So before I do anything or go into any field or even buy anything expensive, I read all there is to read about it. Wow. And when I was in real medical school many years before, when the library is named after a pharmaceutical company, I think one could get a little suspicious. And we would talk among ourselves as students, and a lot of us wondered if we were just going to be high-paid pharmaceutical salesmen. Mm-hmm. And then I saw so many people more sick from the results of medication that even if the medication made them feel better with what their initial complaint was, it wasn't doing well for other systems in their body. So I said, this doesn't work for me. It works for others, and allopathic medicine, as it's called, is a miracle. Don't get me wrong. Okay, there are so many people not dying of cancer now and not dying of coronary artery disease, but it wasn't for me in my field.
Was there a particular experience, personal or professional, that deepened your commitment to blending traditional therapy with more holistic methods, would you say?
My daughter, when she was 2.5, developed asthma.
Oh, dear.
And very funny, the pediatrician lived 3 houses down from me. And he said, there's not much we can do here. So he gave that poor baby prednisone and an inhaler and a nebulizer machine, and it was just a misery. He said, "When I get home from work, I'll knock on your door." I said, "Okay." So he came over and he said, "Listen, off the record totally, and that's why I'm not mentioning his name. Mm-hmm. I would like you to try a holistic doctor." I have sent many patients, many children with allergies to holistic doctors, and it's really helped.
It makes a difference. So that's a pretty profound experience as part of your own child.
It was.
Definitely.
It was a profound experience, and she improved greatly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Took her to the city to a wonderful doctor, and she got better. She still suffers, but she doesn't go into really acute asthma attacks anymore.
When you look back in your upbringing or your early life that you feel shaped your world, looking back on wellness and healing?
I was always a little healer. Even when I was in, my mother tells a story about when I was in, it's called pre-K now, nursery school.
Mm-hmm.
And all the little kids would come in, mommy, mommy. And I would hug each and every one of them and tell them it was going to be okay. So I guess since was a little girl, that's something I had inside of me.
You were
See, yeah,
engaging
as far as back as you can remember, I guess that was just an
That's as far
intuitive
back as I can
nature
remember.
that you had. Yeah.
Yeah.
innately. And did you ever feel pressure internally or externally to choose between science and spirituality in your work? Or have you been able to sort of combine the two?
I still haven't chosen. I use them both. And one thing that I use them in that you'll both find interesting is that if someone is referred to me and I interview them and I see them and I realize that they're not just spiritually sick, they are sick. Their brain chemicals are not working and they are just ill. I send them to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that there are certain people who are mentally terminally ill that I can't help. So if I can't help them because they need either to be institutionalized, they have much more radical treatments than I'm willing to do. Some of them need a cocktail of medications and need to be with a psychopharmacologist. Okay, who I believe that it's at this point in time, that is the only way to help them. It's certainly not curative, but they're in such pain that that's where they need to be now.
So has that always been your approach, or would you say that evolved over time?
Well, it is my approach exactly now, since I am semi-retired. Before, I was in a large practice with other psychiatrists. So if a patient was not well and they came to see me and we had 2 psychopharmacologists on staff at our practice, I sent them over there. So it was a lot easier, but I was always this way. If I'm not 100% sure of something, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Human beings are not to be experimented on. I see other professionals start with one medication. Doesn't work. They put them on another one, and then 2, and then 3. That's not good medicine.
You work with many clients navigating anxiety, depression, and isolation. How do you see the digital age impacting our emotional well-being?
Oh, that's a big plus and minus. You can get a great deal of satisfaction from social media, from all the fun, what are those things, the reels that you look at. Okay, it could be a fun time. But when it becomes a habit, there is the problem. There are some people who don't get off social media. And there are some kids, and I call kids anyone under 26,
I agree,
who are addicted to social media, and never mind bullying in schools over social media. So that's the other side where you can have a very negative experience, because it is much easier to give your opinion about someone if they're not face to face.
That is so true.
They call it keyboard courage.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Keyboard courage. Thank you. And so many kids are suffering from other children's keyboard courage.
the internet with the amount of information that is so readily available at, in just seconds. I can't remember the name of the book, and I cannot remember, the neurologist wrote a book about how this generation's brains are not developing as ours did, because
Absolutely.
the neurons they don't transmit the way that our brains does. So to be able to sit down and actually read a book for an hour or 2 hours, everything is in 30 seconds, 60 seconds,
That's
60 seconds, if you're lucky, increments.
that's
And
correct.
so
Very
I
dangerous.
think that it does, to a certain extent, it creates an isolation with people because you don't have that interaction being out.
I actually met a woman the other day, and she was a boomer like we are. And she said that she goes, "Oh, my daughter," she goes, "I don't go shopping." I said, "What? Shopping's fun." She goes, "Nope, my daughter taught me to buy everything online."
There's a great convenience to that, but I am of the old school that I want to go in and try something on and see how it looks instead of having to rebox it, go to UPS or the post office, ship it back, and start all over again. I'm very old school like that.
I like to feel the material.
So do I. I like to see the cut. I like to check the stitching on it, see the quality of it, the color of it, the way it fits, all of that.
The biggest problem that I see is the socialization of younger people not knowing how to socialize because they are spending so much time in this imaginary, unrealistic world. I knew that we had a problem in society, and this was actually years ago when people started filing for divorce through a text message, or I'm breaking up with you through a text message.
Or a Post-it.
Oh
Yes.
my God,
I knew we were going to have a problem,
big problem.
Yeah.
Big problem. And, yes, I call it cowardice. Yes, I do not believe that these people are really willing to face the situation that they want to end. Have they really looked at it? Have they tried to make it better? Or are they just running because it's super easy now?
Super easy, and because there is work required in every single relationship. I don't care if it's a parent-child, if it's a romantic, even in a friendship, even a human-animal relationship. There is work involved. I don't know, things have become so disposable as opposed to, I'm ready to look at my responsibility in something. I'm ready to dig deep. Are you?
Yes. And the answer many times is too hard. People are not willing to do things that are difficult. And I do believe that that social media and the internet has some cause.
Are there specific tools or strategies that you recommend to help clients reconnect with themselves in a meaningful, sustainable way?
Put the phone away. It is a telephone. If you want to speak to somebody, you can call them. We have to do it like any other addiction. Some people have to cut cold turkey, and some people could be moderate. But how to reconnect to yourself in this world, you have to really want to. This is the escapist tool of the century. So, do they want to? I doubt it. If they want to, they can call me. I'll tell them how. Or listen to your podcast. Just disconnect.
We're supposedly the most connected we've ever been, and yet, in my opinion, we're the most disconnected.
That is correct. That's something that you might be interested in. It's an old Egyptian mental philosophy. It's called sumam. And what that is a pendulum. And sometimes the pendulum swings this way. And when it swings this way, according to physics, it will swing to the other side exactly in the same place. And that is what this is. The pendulum swings. It can swing to total goodness. I mean, we get weather alerts on the phone. That's a very good thing to have.
Yes.
Okay. Amber alerts, silver alerts, all of these things. It's wonderful to be able to speak to your friends in a foreign country free and to text. And if I have It's a lot easier to communicate with children, especially mine, that if I send them a quick text rather than a call, the call can be very irritating. But a text is okay. So it's a wonderful tool for communication and learning. But when the pendulum swings to the other side, it's as vicious as it is good.
Well,
How-
the yin and the yang, the yin and the yang,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. How can we change this? Parental rules. How can I say this so nicely? You know, there are types of parents that sit their children in front of the TV to watch educational programming. Well, that's still programming. That's still a two-dimensional world. Children need to form in a three-dimensional world. So their brain process is not just linear. It has to be, as you mentioned before, expansive. When a child is out in nature or they're playing pretend with their friends and they're doing sports, if they're not klutzes like me, and they're doing all kinds of lovely activities, that is a way to expand. When a child is in school, some private schools are not taking phones away anymore. And the kids are talking to each other like this during class.
You see that in restaurants all the time with people, two adults sitting across from a table and their noses are in their phones.
In our family, you only answer that phone during dinner if it is an emergency.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that my daughter is telling that to my granddaughter at 3 years old. She's saying, no, I heard her the other day. No, we're at a party and we don't play with electronics when we're at a party.
We would go to my sister's in the south of France for the summer for July and August. Those phones got turned off. They were put in a drawer, and rarely did they come out in those 2 months unless we were going to a giant farmer's market where, you know, a little crowd of kids, she and, you know, my two girls and their cousins were going to run around in a pack, and we had to stay connected to them in case they disappeared. But other than that,
I'm not a parent, so I don't want to judge parents, but I see ones that use it as a babysitter and they don't realize the damage that it's causing. So that's my worry about the young generation now.
Mine too.
In your career, obviously you've seen different generations of younger people. What would you say, and not just focused on social media but just in general, what concerns do you have for this specific younger generation now?
I haven't seen them grow yet. So I don't know who they're going to be, what they're going to be. I hope that the parents are not going to be screen parents. It all depends. The generation before, what was that, Generation X? The ones that were my patients turned out to be fabulous people.
I think this is more to the point. Did you notice, okay, this generation, they're more anxious. This generation, they're more depressive.
I hear that there's a problem with children being anxious, nervous, unable to function in a stress situation. What does that come from? It depends on each parent. If I were to give you a blanket statement, it comes from not allowing the child from when they're little to fall down and bang their little heads.
Mm-hmm.
From not allowing them to have little experiences that teach them how to take care of stress. And when they're big people or high school people, they are, should I say they were coddled? No, I can just say that their parents were frightened that, God forbid, something would happen to this child. And I don't know, did they dress them in foam rubber around the house? I mean, I know my kids used to break down and there was blood every day, but there was blood somewhere.
They call them, well, now they call them, the term is helicopter parent.
I guess
that's the term now that I hear all the time. And that's the ones that are, you would describe as overprotective. You know, they're the one that hears something, they're at the school. You know, they're what happened? What, you know, like who did this? You know, that type.
Well, you know what's difficult about that, though, you know, given the amount of occurrences that have transpired throughout the years in schools, on college campuses, in airplanes. And I mean, 9/11 was a very good example of that. As a parent, it could be quite frightening. And I understand it. I think like in anything else, it's about finding the balance, finding balance in everything, being a very engaged parent, but allowing your children to make mistakes. Because how are they going to grow and learn if they don't make mistakes? That's when you do your the greatest amount of your growth, in my opinion.
Absolutely. This world is so filled with negativity and so filled with opportunities to get your feelings hurt. And, you know, this is going to sound ridiculous, but someone gave my daughter a hard time in kindergarten. So I said, okay, it turned out to be a boy. And she said, I don't want to go back to school, Mommy. I said, no, you're going. She goes, well, what do I do? I said, punch him in the stomach.
I was going to say, did you tell him to pop him in the nose? Tell her to pop him in the nose?
Just, you can't. To not defend yourself is a message of weakness. And it's not okay. I mean, you could say you're ugly and your mother dresses you funny, or you could say all kinds of things, but you can't go back like a little lamb this way. Go, oh, please don't hurt me again. That doesn't work.
Speaking of all of this, words versus physical action, how do you bring together psychological theory and more intuitive practices in session without compromising the structure or safety of the traditional therapy?
It's a mouthful, and I have a 1-2-word answer. It's called I don't. Again, I'm very well versed in texts. So if someone says something to me and there's a red flag attached to it, okay, that they possibly could do themselves or others harm, that's a big thing in my field. I stop. I might refer them out to someone who practices traditional medicine. I'm more of a spiritual practitioner. I talk to people's damaged souls. And that's very different than standard psychotherapy. And if someone needs standard psychotherapy, there was once a guy who heard of me through the grapevine, called me up. He said, well, would you do? I want psychoanalysis. I said, no, you'll have to find a Freudian for that. I said, no, I honestly, as people who are with me know that I don't pick on childhood very much unless it was extremely humiliating to the soul. I believe that we're grown-ups here. And what happened to you when you were 10 was a damn shame.
Right.
Okay. But let's see how it affects your daily life. And if you're looking through it with adult eyes instead of what happened to the child. So it's a very different modality. Most shrinks hate me, but that's tough. And it's very different. I would say I do more spiritual healing than psychological healing.
But it seems to me that your intuitive nature gives you a greater understanding of what that particular person might need in any given situation. And I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. It's just it's a macaw, correct, in the background?
Oh, JJ has a big mouth.
It's just saying, I'm here, Mama.
Why can't I play too?
I love it. Sounds like a little jungle in the background. It's beautiful.
Is. Trust me, there's cats, there's dogs.
Dr. Doolittle.
So you sometimes refer to your younger clients, or you did in your career, as little star seeds. Can you share what you meant by that in the context of therapeutic work?
Well, again, with the children are much easier than adults. And I can see in a child, because they don't have all these a priori sets in their head of really what's going on and who they're meant to be and what they're meant to do. They are the origin of themselves. They are not the origin of their parents. They're little star seeds that came from the planets here for me to help them find their way into what is important to them. And I have to tell you, 100% of the time, and I have seen over 1,000 children, they are beautiful, amazing grown-ups who have found themselves and their path. And it was like a beeline straight to it.
Wow.
And it was great. Some are artists. Some are artists and waiters. I mean, I want my kid to be a doctor. Well, good for you.
Your child's going to be what your child's
My
going
child's
to
going
be.
to be what I said. If their child comes to me, the child's going to be what he's meant to be. And they are all who they're meant to be. From doctors, lawyers. I have doctors. I have lawyers. I have a waitress, a wonderful waitress, artist, and beautiful poet. But they're content with themselves.
Ah, the key
And
word.
that's what's most important.
Content and happy in their chosen lives.
Absolutely. That regret is I forgot, I think Nietzsche said it. Regrets are the worst things a person could have.
How do you approach identity, purpose, and meaning in the therapy room, or just in your conversations with your clients? Is a better way to put it, especially when clients express spiritual or existential concerns.
That comes from one simple question. What was the best thing that happened to you this week? And what was the worst thing that happened? And we find that there's a very big correlation between the two. And that's the space that we go to discover together. In my younger years, I had a difficult time because I do not do traditional psychotherapy. How does that make you feel? Oh, screw that stuff. Okay, let's really cut to the chase. See what's good for you. This is all about you.
You've pretty much covered this, but do you see yourself more as a therapist, a guide, or a teacher, or something in between?
I'm everything. I try not to be a therapist because, I don't want to be mean. I honestly don't feel like therapy does a hell of a lot for patients. Having them figure out what made them angry as a child and they didn't blah, 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 and this didn't happen. We are imperfect. Everybody's mommy and daddy were imperfect. We are not perfect. And to dwell on imperfection and bemoan your life because in the past you had deep imperfection really sullies this life.
And that shouldn't be the goal either, to come to a therapist to want to be perfect. That should not be the goal, There's
a new trend in therapy which is making me almost sick, where therapists are telling their patients, well, if you don't get along with your mother, don't speak to her anymore. What? To sever the most sacred connection that you could have with someone? My mother, she was like living with a mean girl. And she did a lot of things that I didn't approve of. Looks and your standing in life and this and that were things that meant more to her than making her daughters and son feel loved. But that was her shtick. So I think about with my mother, what were the good things she gave me? Not, oh, she was such a bitch. Oh, this. No. That relationship is sacred. You choose your parents before you get here.
I agree.
For the evolution of your soul.
The lessons you're supposed to learn.
Okay. So what did you learn from this? Not if your mother annoys you, don't talk to her anymore. As a matter of fact, you should talk to her more and try and work it out. And as with an adult brain, not a child's brain, think of where she's coming from and what she went through in her life. I mean, our parents were children of the Depression. Well, that was a very hard time. And uncles go away to war and they don't come back. There's a lot. Think of what they went through. So I'm more of an est type of person.
Mm.
When you first go and learn at est, where, yes, I am old enough that I went there for training for a few weeks. And the leader, the director, said, well, I bet all of you here have a million resentments about what your parents didn't do for you. And we'll go, oh, yeah, we're raising our hands. Oh, you want to hear my story? And he said, stop. What have you done for your parents? This is a reciprocal relationship. Were you one of the children that said, give me, I want, and not give?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all of us are, little rich, spoiled kids. And oh, yes, no, I didn't do anything. And it teaches you humility and that everything has a value of one. You are your parents. They are you. You are your brothers and sisters. So to stop talking to them and end that relationship, which is the biggest teacher of your life, that's what you're going to do? I can't say that I agree.
Well, there's that old saying, my mother knows how to push all my buttons because she installed every one of them in my person, which is, a funny ha-ha joke, but true. And my mother and I, throughout our relationship, may she rest in peace, we had our moments with each other. I mean, we did. And the thing is, the love was so much greater. And for me, and I try and practice this in my life, and I've had girlfriends that are like, you're nuts. You always try and find something good in somebody. I'm like, well, isn't that what we're here for? To try and find the best in people, because we're all just human trying to have a spiritual experience. We are all imperfect in a world that is crazy on a good day. So, to try and focus on the positives. And although there were things, mistakes my mother made, I've certainly made my share of them with my own children. I own it. I'm so grateful for what she instilled in me, my love of nature and gardening and cooking and baking and bodies of water growing up next to an ocean. I mean, she dragged us out of a very hoity-toity neighborhood in Marin County out to a, beautiful, funky little beach town where we could climb trees and ride horses and run around barefoot because she wanted a natural existence for us. And I could harp on the, well, you did this and you did that, or you didn't do this. I don't choose to live my life that way. I'm really, really grateful.
And I'm sure you've seen this over all the years, but you've encountered some people where this happened when they were 15 or something, and they're 50 or 60. And for 30 or 40 years, they're still in it. And at what point do you accept what happened? That's what it was, before you realize I've wasted more years being stuck than actually the years it happened.
Acceptance is the key to happiness. It's when we don't accept and we fight. Now, I'm not telling you that if your father or mother was a serial killer, that you should go dancing to the mall with them. Okay? I'm not using the most extreme circumstances. I have had, very sadly, some patients with abysmal upbringings they have marks of cigarette and cigar burns on them, and they were raped, and one was offered up to priests as a sexual object. I mean, I can't explain to you the horror. What I would do is I would say, well, it's in the past and it still hurts. And yes, your mother was an absolute horror. She should be in jail if she wasn't dead. And if she wasn't dead, there's no statute of limitations on rape, murder. Call the cops now. Okay, these things, you must take action. But I'm talking, those are, thank God, very peripheral things that happen in the life of a shrink. I don't do PTSD from war and other things because honestly, the damage that it does to the soul is so horrific that I don't think that even if I put all of my loving energy into them, that they would heal. So they have to do medication and more traditional methods. If you just had a dad who was a real son of a bitch, and you had a mother who was selfish, and you had brothers and sisters that were just like really creepy assholes, excuse my French. Okay, you can really get past that and find the love and what connects you all. But trauma, different story, my dear.
Clearly, that's not a typical session with you. Can you just walk us through a little bit what a typical session looks like in your integrative practice?
Whoever comes into my office, the first thing I do when I open my front door is I give them a hug. By giving them a hug, I feel them. It's a little bit tricky hug because I feel them through my entire body. I can see their auric field. I feel their blockages. And I go, okay, you think you could help? I go, yeah, I can help. Or no, I can't. So when we sit down to talk and we figure out what is the poison that's in their soul right now, what is in their life that is making them feel ill? Number one, I don't come for free. Okay. I do not want your money as an exchange if I can't help you. I'm not going to turn on, oh, little miss, how does that make you feel, therapist? Just so I could.
Now we're talking ethics too.
Exactly.
You know,
but
it's very ethical.
It is ethics. If you're with me in therapy for more than 5 or 6 years, that's where I'll really put my limit. That's as far as you are able to go with me. There are some therapists that keep patients for 20 years, 30 years. Are you joking me? You're obviously not doing your job. And some people go at this point as far as they're willing to go. And as I say, their soul, their subconscious, some people are not willing to move further than a certain point.
I can see certain clients that go to someone for 20 years. If they're honest, they may not have grown a tremendous amount, but it's like a checking off a laundry list. Oh, I'm seeing my therapist this week because that's what I do. That's what I do.
Exactly.
I haven't grown incrementally that much in the past 10 years, but Thursdays are my therapy day.
Right. And the correct thing to do as a therapist, you say, I think that we're at a standstill with our work. And let's take a vacation and see how you are. Let's see how you are in the world without your therapist, without this, and move on. If something comes up for you again, of course, call me. Of course. I am here. My pledge to my patients is I am here for you for the rest of my life.
This next question may play into that. What does a somatic awareness or body-based healing play into your work?
Well, if your mind is well, so is your body. If your spirit is well, you should be glowing from every piece of you. And do I treat other illnesses than psychiatric illnesses? I know how. I mean, we all start off as general practitioners. Am I a naturopath? Yes. Do I know herbal medications? Yes. So if someone says, I have a sore throat, what can I use for my garden? I can tell them, but I don't deal with chronic illness. A lot of times chronic illness goes away if you're feeling well, and sometimes it doesn't.
How do you prepare yourself mentally or emotionally to hold space for clients across such a wide spectrum of needs? And I actually was thinking when we were coming up with these questions, I was really thinking about that because you're such a beautiful, gentle soul and so giving that I would think that it would, just for me personally, would feel like a huge responsibility. So how do you prepare yourself for that?
I meditate before each session. I meditate and I ask the universe through me to deliver what they need to be healed. That's it.
What are the most important elements that you try to cultivate in therapeutic relationships?
Trust, honesty. I don't love the model of transference where all of a sudden the therapist is on a pedestal. No. Because then the patient wants to please the therapist so much.
Ah, that makes sense.
That they won't tell them the nitty gritty. I am open. Oh, this is another thing that shrinks hate. I am open with my patients and I share my life, the good, the bad. And in that case, it puts us on an equal footing of love.
Well, to quote John Lennon again, love is it, and you know that for sure. What are some common misconceptions people have about combining psychology with spiritual practices?
Well, a lot of people don't understand spirituality the same way I understand it. I'm a very Gestalt person, and I believe you're nothing without your spirit. You're nothing. So it's the medicine of spirit and how your brain functions according to how your spirit grows.
Has there ever been a moment where you had to have clear professional boundaries with clients in terms of the places that you went with them?
Only a couple of times during it's almost 40 years now. Certain male clients have fallen in love with me.
I can understand that.
And that was very, very difficult. My whole body was in pain to have to tell them I'm so sorry, that this is not something that can be, and that I have a very wonderful relationship with my husband, and that there's no way that I'm going to end that relationship or sully it in any way. So that's the only thing that has ever happened. Nothing else. That was very painful.
How do you respond to skepticism about intuition as alternative healing in a clinical setting?
That's their problem.
Oh, pooey.
Exactly. Oh, pooey.
That's a you issue, not a me issue.
That's 100% correct. And I could be mean to them and I could say, let's talk about cure rates then.
Okay, wait a second.
You want to get clinical. Okay. How many patients have you seen through to cure?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. 10%. Well, I have 95%. So just shut up.
What's one experience from your work that deeply moved or changed you?
I would say the death of my mother. That was absolutely horrific. And I started because I wish she had just died quickly, but she had the type of cancer that went to her brain. And it was beyond horrific to watch. My mother was the CFO of a Fortune 500 company. She was not a small woman. And to watch this very dynamic woman become nothing. She became nothing. She was just a lump of a person. It was heartbreaking. And that affected me because I felt, firstly, I was very mad at God, and I don't even know if I believe in God. I believe in a higher power, whatever it is. But I was very angry because I said, you didn't have to do that. She could have gotten hit by a truck. There are 100 things you could have done to this woman, and not have her suffer so. And because she suffered like that, I became numb for about a year to the world and spirituality. And I took a good time off from my career because I didn't believe that how can I help people? And then toward their end, when they are the most vulnerable, to take their lives in such a cruel way and to torture their soul and to torture their body. I ran leaps and bounds with this.
Would you say that that was one of the primary examples where you used your own practice of healing internally?
Absolutely. Plus, my partner, Marianne, who she should rest in peace, was the same type of therapist that I am. And she helped me tremendously. She was amazing.
Was it more difficult to apply what you know to yourself than it would have been to apply to a patient of yours?
Oh, yeah, to myself, of course, because I was doubting myself. I was doubting everything I knew and everything I felt. And it was a very, very difficult time in my life. But I needed it in order to grow. Because now I know what my patient feels when they say, I lost my mother. I lost my father.
What do you believe are the core human lessons we're all here to learn, regardless of our background or beliefs?
There's a lesson in everything. Okay? In everything that we do and feel. And what is the lesson in this? I had a stupid lesson today, a really dumb lesson. My sister came over on Sunday because we had a little party for my brother's 70th. And she brought me beautiful pink roses. So I put the pink roses in a vase that I made. And it looked so pretty, it was so nice. And so this morning, I had my cup of coffee in my hand, and I picked up the vase. I said, oh, it needs water. So what did I do? I leaned over the sink like a jackass, and I tried to turn the water on to fill the vase like this. I spilled my coffee all over the roses. What a mess. I had to wash each rose.
Oh.
Okay. Put it back in the vase. Now, meantime, I had something else I had to do. And that took 15 minutes of my time. Now, it's a stupid lesson, but a lesson nonetheless. Okay. One thing at a time, Sloan. And that's a big lesson in my life. One thing at a time.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
So sometimes we're here to learn itty bitty little lessons, like one thing at a time. And sometimes our lessons are very great.
For someone who is curious about exploring their inner life or reconnecting with themselves, where should they begin?
Serious meditation. Have a master give you your mantra and do it every day for 20 minutes. And you would be surprised as to what's going to come up after you're finished with the meditation, how that is going to begin to change your life. And then if you want to work with a spirit guide, a spiritual guide, find someone, call someone like me. And my goodness, you can have a new view, a new awakening in your life.
We have reached the significant 7, which is how we close out every episode. Each guest gets the same 7 questions. So I will turn it over to Signy with the significant 7.
If you had to choose one word that holds the most significance in your life, whether it defines you, guides you, or challenges you, what would it be and why?
Love.
What is the most significant piece of advice you have ever received?
Don't sweat the hard stuff.
What is the most significant risk you've ever taken?
Walking out on my second husband.
What is the most significant life lesson that you've ever learned?
I haven't learned it yet.
What significant moment in your life changed how you see the world?
9/11.
What significant relationship has shaped you the most?
Oh, there have been so many really profound relationships that I've had. I have to say, my mother. It's my mother. Don't think I would be who I am without her.
Mm-hmm.
The whole other side of me is an artist, and that I got from her.
What's the most significant truth you've come to understand about yourself?
That I'm a giant goofball.
Wrapped up in a very beautiful, loving, intuitive.
There's nothing more that I love but laughter.
I think all of our viewers are going to be so enlightened and hopefully use some tools or seek some tools that you've,
Just seek your own truths. Find your truth and live it.
Words to live by. Absolutely beautiful. Sloan, thank you so much, darling. So appreciate you being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Namaste.
Until next time, take care.